What's up, fight fans? Welcome to the pre-fight show. Really, the only reason that I'm doing this pre-fight show is because I want to make sure that my audio and video is synced up for when I do a post-fight show that will happen tonight, right after they interview the loser of the main event of UFC Fight Night 94, which I'm hoping is Michael Johnson, but very well could be Dustin Poirier because it's a very close fight. As soon as the broadcast has finished, I will click stream and I'll be talking about the entire fight card. I'm going to watch from the very first second all the way to the end, and I will not miss a moment of this fight card. I'll tell you about my thoughts on it. I'll give a grade to the thing. It'll happen in 3 parts. Part number 1, talk about the main event because it just happened. Part number 2, I will answer any questions that you might have, or I'll read your silly comments on my live stream. Part number 3, I'll talk about the rest of the card, and we'll close it out with "Are you fucking kidding me?" for the fight card, and I'll give it a grade from A to F, 1 to 100, and everything like that. So, why in the world should you watch UFC Fight Night 94? Obviously, you've heard quite a bit by now about yesterday was Mexican Independence Day, and ordinarily UFC does not have fight cards on this weekend because there's a big boxing event that happens. Tonight there is a fight where Canelo Alvarez defends his light middleweight belt against Liam Smith, I think is his name. I don't follow boxing that well, but it's also happening in Texas. It's happening at Cowboy Stadium, now known as AT&T Stadium. So UFC is going right up against a big name boxer. Canelo Alvarez, probably one of the most popular boxers right now, if not the most popular boxer in the world of combat sports. So it's interesting that UFC is going right up against it. It's also interesting that UFC has a lot of Mexican fighters on this fight card. A lot of them were on Tough Latin America Season 1. And Hidalgo, or I'm a gringo, of course, but Hidalgo, Texas is right on the border. Like, its city limits are on the border of Mexico. So that's pretty darn interesting. But other than that, why should you have any interest in this fight card? Well, the main event, of course, Dustin Poirier versus Michael the Menace Johnson, is important for the UFC lightweight division. Poirier, number 7, Michael Johnson, number 10. There are a lot of guys above Poirier in the rankings. Let's find them. Yeah, there are a lot of guys in the rankings above Poirier who are already lined up. They already have dance partners. Number 1, Eddie Alvarez, I think, is probably going to fight Conor McGregor at UFC 205 in New York. Number 1, which is just silly how they do this, C and then 1. How about we go just 1 to 15? You silly mother effers. Khabib the Eagle Nurmagomedov. I don't think that he has a dance partner. Perhaps if Dustin wins, we could line him up with Khabib. I think Khabib is going to try to wait for a title shot. And then number 2, who's actually number 3, Rafael dos Anjos, is currently lined up with Tony Okukui Ferguson, tied at number 4, which is stupid. Nate Diaz, of course, he's probably not going to do anything until he can fight Conor McGregor again. And then we've got Edson Barboza, Donald Cowboy Cerrone still in the lightweight rankings, and then Dustin Poirier. So if Poirier wins, I think that we line him up with Edson Barboza. I don't think Edson has a dance partner, and he last beat Gilbert El Nino Melendez. So I think that if Poirier is successful tonight, I think that we ought to line him up with Edson Barboza. Now, on the flip side, if Michael Johnson wins, he avoids a 3-fight losing streak. Currently, he's on his 3rd 2-fight losing streak of his UFC career, which, damn, that's kind of a lot of 2-fight losing streaks, but he's going to try to avoid a 3-fight losing streak. It's really dreaded in the UFC world. If he were to win, I think that we would match him up with, I would be clamoring for him to fight. I know it wouldn't be as big a step up. I wouldn't put him against Edson Barboza, which that could be fun, right? Have they already fought? I think so. Anyway, I'm thinking Michael Chiesa would be a great matchup for Michael Johnson. We got Mike, and Mike. So I think if Johnson wins, we give him Chiesa. Poirier wins, we give him Barboza. Co-main event of the evening. This is also fun because these guys are 9 and 10 respectively. Uriah Hall versus Derek Brunson. The winner of this fight is kind of in a weird place as well because of the rankings. But I would like to see, let's pull it over to the rankings, middleweight rankings. To move up, it's going to be difficult. Like, again, I hate the C and then 1, 2, 3, but Vitor Belfort at number 5 and Anderson Silva at number 6. I know they're legends. I don't think they deserve to be that high. And also, Gegard is over Uriah Hall. UFC rankings are just stupid. But here's the thing. If Tim Kennedy were to have a dominant performance over Rashad Evans at UFC 205, I would want him to face a guy like Uriah Hall or Derek Brunson. I know that's a long time to wait between either fight, but that's the scenario that I would like. If Tim Kennedy beats Rashad Evans and then he wants to fight again before 2 years happens, I would like to have him against the winner of Uriah Hall, Derek Brunson. These guys, there's a real bottleneck at the top because we have Michael Bisping facing Dan Henderson, who is number 12 on the rankings, does not deserve this title shot. We've got a real bottleneck at the top because of that. And then also we've got Chris Weidman, Jacare Souza, Yoel Romero, Luke Rockhold. All 4 of those guys are really deserving of a title shot. So they're in this little, I would like it to be a little 4-man tournament. Anyway, I don't think that the winner of this fight, Uriah Hall, Derek Brunson, is going to get right up into that title shot mix. And for that reason, I would like them to get the winner of Rashad Evans, Tim Kennedy. I think it's going to be Tim Kennedy. I'll tell you that right now. So both those things are interesting. The main event is very important for the lightweight division. The co-main event is pretty darn important for the middleweight division, despite having that bottleneck clear at the top. The rest of the card, why should you be tuning in? Well, gosh darn it, it's fights. UFC has been putting on fights pretty much every Saturday, and at times I could really use a break, but humans are creatures of habit. And now they've been putting fights on every single Saturday. When it's not on a Saturday, I kind of feel out of sync. Like, what do I even do? Am I allowed to drink beer while not watching fights? I guess I watch American football. If you happen to be watching this stream and you have any questions, you can ask them in the comment section or on Twitter if you're into that sort of thing. Dunham versus Glenn. Glenn has been clamoring for a UFC shot for a long, long time. He's a former WSOF champion, World Series of Fighting champion. And if he were to win this fight in his UFC debut against a guy who has been toward the top of the UFC, lightweight division. Is this fight lightweight? Sorry, guys, let me pull this Wikipedia up. I got it on my bookmarks. But anyway, if this guy were to make his UFC debut real quick like this and get a win over a guy like Evan Dunham, that would be incredible. One thing that we need to watch on this fight card is I'm not talking about any picks on this show because I've already talked about my picks on a different video, and I just kind of want to talk about what's fun about the fight card. So I'm not going to get into picks. But if Rick Glenn comes in here, it is a lightweight fight, comes in here and beats Evan Dunham, this guy is somebody who we're going to be looking forward to getting towards the top of the lightweight division. Now, this is the most exciting division probably in the Ultimate Fighting Championships because, well, a lot of dudes are at this weight. Evan Dunham, he's ranked number 15. If he gets a win here, it's not that important, but it should move him up. And I'd like to see him against a guy like Gilbert Melendez. That could be a fun fight. Where Gilbert has some fantastic wrestling defense. Evan Dunham, he's coming in here with a lot of wrestling. That could be a fun matchup if Evan wins this one. I do think that he wins this one. I know I said we weren't getting into picks. Welterweight fight, Hon Jucao Carneiro, Kenny Robertson. Now, this isn't that important for division, but we're looking at if Kenny Robertson can rise to the occasion and beat the really older guy in Hon Jucao Carneiro. If Jucao were to pull off a submission, that would sure be a great way to, look towards the end of his career. I don't want to force guys or try to get guys to leave the sport, but when we're talking about a 38-year-old man who has been not doing that well, I guess he beat Mark Munoz, which I called that because right before that fight, Mark said that his doctor was like, bro, you shouldn't fight anymore. If that happens, you pick against that person. But he just got obliterated by Derek Brunson. Middleweight division, moving down, so that's also interesting. Hon Jucao moving down to welterweight, taking on a guy who is really underrated. Because of the way this man looks, his general look. He kind of looks like, if he were a female, we'd call her homely. Do we do that? Is that okay? Is that PC? Do we call women homely? If he were a female, we'd call her homely. He just kind of looks average. He's balding. Just kind of looks like a regular Joe. It could be a big win for him over Jucao too, because we all know how high level Jucao is with submissions, I think that's going to be a fun one to watch in the grappling department. So that's one reason you should be watching this fight card. If you're not just a just bleed type of guy, you like to see the little intricacies, that is a fight that will be fun for the intricacies of how it's going to be going down. Speaking of the intricacies, Chris Wade, Islam Makhachev, these guys are super closely matched. A lot of people think that Chris Wade's this young up-and-comer, but he's 28, Islam Makhachev, 24 years old. He was training out of Dagestan, I think, for his last fight. Now he's moved over to AKA. He's been training with Khabib and Khabib's dad for like his whole life. So we want to see where this guy's going. We've seen a rise of the Dagestanis in UFC competition as of late in the past few years and whatnot. It's going to be interesting to see how this guy progresses. I watched him in M1 Global, where they got the octagon that's I think it's an octagon, maybe it's 10-sided, but it's a ring with a net around the bottom. This guy was really impressive there, and I'm looking forward to him being a force to be reckoned with in his UFC career. Other than that, I mean, these Sam Cecilia, a lot of people are picking against this guy, and I think that he has really heavy hands, and people are thinking that Gabriel Benitez Mogli is going to starch Sam Cecilia. And if he does, that would be hella awesome to watch. It's just going to be a really fun night. It's free fights. For the prelims, I don't expect too much. Oh, here's one thing I want to talk about. Skip all the way down to the UFC Fight Pass prelims. Eric Perry Montano versus Randy Rude Boy Brown. Now, the reason why I think that you need to be tuning in for this fight is because we need to see if Rude Boy can live up to kind of a hype. I don't know if it's real hype or just the hype that I've made up in my head, but because he's a looking for a fight kind of guy from Dana White, I have high expectations for this guy. If he were to win, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section down below, but I think that would bring guys off of looking for a fight up to 7-1. Let's think about that. I think that Super Sage is 2-1. This guy would be 2-0, so that's 4-1. And then CM Punk's Destroyer, Mickey Gall, is 2-0. So 6-1, I think. And that's pretty neat. That's pretty impressive for that YouTube show from Dana White. I know these guys aren't high level, but I've also heard that in this fight you're going to want to watch for Rude Boy just likes to use the distance, and he's not that fast, but Eric Montano should have a grappling advantage. So there's a little thing we're going to be wanting to watch for. Eric Montano is one of these guys who kind of looks homely as well. He doesn't look like that much of a fighter, but he is real gritty. He should have the edge in the grappling department, and let's see if he can get Rude Boy down and control him there. This fight card overall on paper for grade-wise, it would get... I know that I said that UFC 203 was a C on paper. That event turned out to be a whole lot of fun because of its weirdness, because of the finishes that we had, because of that flying sidekick from Fabricio Vicavallo Verdum. When we're grading a card before watching it, I want to take into consideration how much money it's costing us to watch. And if you already have cable, this fight card is free, and you should have UFC Fight Pass. If you don't, I don't know what you're doing with yourself, homie. Oh, Randy Rude Boy lost. Son of a bitch. Well, let's look at Rude Boy real quick. Thank you for tuning in, Vinicino. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Randy Brown, Rude Boy. Oh, yeah, he did. He lost rear naked choke to Michael Graves. Shoot. So, gosh, if he loses to Eric Montano, then it's the flip side of what I was saying. The guys on looking for a fight are not very good because Randy Brown is like minus 400 for F's sakes. I mean, that is some big ol' odds. That is some large odds. Completely lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. Talking about grading a card on paper. Now, we don't have to pay to watch this fight card. It's not a pay-per-view. If you have Fox Sports 1, it's already here. You should have UFC Fight Pass. If you're a real fight fan, you have UFC Fight Pass. But as for a grade, the top two fights are absolutely fantastic. Maybe if you're not a hardcore fan, they're not that fun. But as a hardcore fan, the main event and the co-main event are fucking fantastic, stellar, off the charts, for non-pay-per-view level fight card. So those two right there, A+. I'm super excited for Chris Wade versus Islam Makhachev. Boom. A+ on that one. I like Chas Skelly. I like interacting with this guy on Twitter. That fight could be fun in that sense because I like the guy. He's not that exciting of a fighter, so that brings it down a little bit. Evan Dunham versus Glenn could be pretty boring. Carnero versus Robertson could be really exciting. I'm going to give it a B. Benitez versus Sam Cecilia, A+ for an FS1 prelim capper. The rest of them I don't really care about, but we could see some slobber knockers and some really exciting violence. Not going to be beautiful violence, but it will be some, high-level violence. So this isn't Bellator. This is UFC level shit right here. For a total grade, I'm going to give it a straight-up B. I'm going to give it a B. In considering that it's free and that I basically just love watching fights. The main event, co-main event are out of this fucking world. Off the chain, homie. Just super good shit. Anyway, tell me why you're watching this fight card in the comment section down below. If you like the style of videos that I've been doing where I'm just kind of talking to you guys. I don't have friends in real life. So I'm just talking to you cats about the fights. Tell me about it in the comment section down below. Be sure to tune in for my UFC Fight Night 94 hashtag UFC Hidalgo. Post-fight show, I'll just be by myself once again. Be answering questions in the second part. Be talking about the main event in the first part. Belal Muhammad, before we get out of here, just had Jeremy Brigham put a comment in the comment section down below that he's excited to watch Belal Muhammad fight. Yes, this dude, in his debut against Alan Brahma, Joe Ban showed a level of toughness that we really haven't seen from many guys in this sport, period. A lot of guys quit. I know a lot of people have some really high level want and gumption and toughness, but this guy really, really impressed me, especially because it was during Ramadan. He's not allowed to drink or eat during the day, right? So we had to do it on the flip side at nighttime, and then the fight card happened during the day. That would just be a really tough thing to deal with. I'm really excited to see him fight Augusto Montano. He's a vicious striker. I love his knees in the clinch. I love his style. I just don't think he's that high-level opponent. So I think that Belal Muhammad could really show us his potential, and he could really style. Uriah Hall by Sodomy. Gee whiz, I sure hope not, especially on a televised fight card. I mean, that's some pay-per-view level stuff, but on a televised fight card, I sure hope we don't see any Sodomy. Oriane. Fusel Turner. Am I playing a DraftKings lineup? Yeah, I have an hour and 15 minutes to get my DraftKings lineup cinched in. I haven't decided yet what I was going to do. Let me stall and I'll pull it up here real fast. DraftKings is extremely fun to play, but man, I have been getting just killed on it lately because it sucks. I'm not that good at playing this game because not only are you playing against the other fighters, but you're also playing against other intelligent, hardcore MMA fans. So you have to pick what they're not picking and then try to score a lot of points. Let me get in this. Let me get in on this. I want a $3 game. Yeah, let's play this one. Let's draft this team. Still can't get over that sodomy thing. Shoeface. Oh. Salam. God damn it. I forgot your real name. Salam. But no, I'm not excited to watch Shoeface. This guy really showed me a lot of quit against Dan Kelly. I'm so mad at him for showing the quit. I picked him. I was confident in him because Dan Kelly's like 400 years old. And Carlos Jr. went in there and just threw one strike at a time. I thought he was going to do well on the ground, but Dan Kelly just murdered him on the ground. On the flip side of that fight, I'm more excited to watch Leonardo Augusto Leleco because this guy, he's short. I think he's short. Oh man, he's at a 6-inch reach disadvantage to Cara de Sapo, but he's used to fighting these big fighters. He's kind of like John Lineker, but not nearly as good, obviously, but he throws those wide punches, kind of sticks his head up there, wide punches just over and over, hooks all fucking day. He's got a chin of stone, just throws wildly. I hope that he can connect on Carlos Jr. That would be hella exciting. I'm going to do my DraftKings lineup. I'm going to give you my predictions for fight of the night, performance of the nights, and then I'm going to get out of here. I decided to do this show during the halftime of a football game that I'm watching. So as for the prices, man, Uriah Hall at 9,400. That sounds like a good buy, but I did pick Brunson, so that's not good. Evan Dunham, completely overpriced at 10,700 because he's probably going to grind out a decision, right? He doesn't have very good submissions from the takedowns. I think that Rick Glenn isn't going to be able to get submitted. Isn't going to be able to get TKO'd either. Now, Kenny Robertson at 9,300. I love Kenny Robertson at $9,300. Islam Makhachev, Chris Wade, I think that goes to a decision. Maximo Blanco, 9,100. That's some big value on a guy that could get a striking finish, but his record's terrible. I think that Chad Skelly takes him down. Oh, I'm looking at a bad game. Ah, damn it. Leave that game. It's only showing me the main card. Lobby. Let's just click this one. My prediction for fight of the night is obviously going to be the main event. If that doesn't get fight of the night, I think that one of the two is going to get a performance of the night. You know, as you get closer to the end of the fight card, that's where you see more performance bonuses. That's where you see more fight of the night bonuses. Performance bonus could go to Uriah Hall if he wins, because if he wins, it's probably a finish, and it's going to be in just flashy, badass style. I predict that Robertson could get a performance bonus because I do think that he TKOs Carnero on the ground. So my performance bonus prediction is going to be Robertson via KO TKO. I'm not looking for Hall to get it because I don't think that he wins. Fight of the night, Poirier Johnson. And last one is probably going to go to the winner of Benitez Cecilia, because I think that somebody's going to land a big punch, put someone down. Let's finish this DraftKings lineup. We know we want Robertson because I think that he finishes and he's really, really cheap. I don't want someone from the main event, and if I were to pick someone from the main event, it'd be Poirier, and he's pretty expensive. Gabriel Benitez, if you think he gets a finish, $8,200, holy buckets of wieners. That is a fantastic price. Bilal Muhammad, I think that he does style on Augusto Montano. Now, Leleco, I think that he could land a big punch, is $9,500. Randy Rude Boy Brown, $10,900, way overpriced. Alejandro Perez, probably going to land a bunch of strikes. He's a very slight favorite, but I think that he gets a victory. So I'm putting him on my team. And let's go. I have a lot of money left. I'm picking Sam Cecilia via KO, TKO, locking it in. Oh, man, Cara de Sapo is a badass name, Solomon. Oh, Ohio State's going to win. Ohio State with Urban Meyer, Salam, is goddamn near unbeatable, right? Goddamn near unbeatable. Urban Meyer's a fantastic coach. Oklahoma, didn't they lose last week? Isn't it Oklahoma? Yeah, I think that Ohio State wins that game for sure. What do you think of this video, guys? Give it a thumbs up. Tell me about your DraftKings in the comment section down below if you want to. You don't have to because we might be in the same game together, whatever. What grade would you give this fight card from A to F before the fights happen? I'm giving it a straight B. Tell me what you think. Thumbs up, guys. I'm going to get the hell out of here. End of transmission. Namaste.